Tonight's a very special night. It has only happened 19 times in our 90-year history that we have found an honoree worthy of the Robert T. Gair Award, and you'll hear a lot more about that and a lot more about our honoree, Mr. Voorhees. But let's just give him a round of applause. So I remember the first time I met Steve. It was right after Rock 10 acquired MWV, and he agreed to keynote our either spring or fall meeting. I don't remember which. And the first thing I learned about Steve is he is very much into preparation. And he and I had several telephone calls to discuss what message he wanted to give, and more importantly, what message we wanted him to give on our behalf. And he became a very strong supporter of us and gave a great keynote, as many of you will remember. And then the next time I saw Steve was in a completely different circumstance. We had brats and beers at the Messe in Dusseldorf and had a few laughs, and it was a completely different side, a less serious, but still a delightful time. And we've seen him a few times since. And as you may know, we awarded this award almost exactly a year ago with the intention of delivering it to him in the spring. Unbeknownst to us, he would have announced his retirement just a few days before he received that award. But we're pleased to give it to him now in 2021, and we said we were gonna go and do this no matter what. So there's a lot more to learn about Steve in just a few minutes. It's my pleasure, though, to thank that PPC team who did a lot of work to make this happen, to our executive committee and board who made that all happen. So we have been really lucky tonight with the staff of the hotel, and I would like to thank them for making sure that this thing is going well, and so thanks to them. You might hear from me once or twice about our sponsors. So PPC has a very strong associate member committee. It's critically important, not just to our financial success, but to our technological knowledge. And I do want to acknowledge all of them, but specifically our platinum sponsor, Koenig & Bauer, overall meeting sponsors, Bobst, Clearwater, Heidelberg, Joe Piper, Kamori, Man Roland. And especially tonight, the special ceremony award sponsors, which are Koenig & Bauer, Bobst, and Westrock. And it's now my great honor to present to you PPC's chair, my boss, Mr. Brian Hunt.
My mother would be proud. I'm bossing someone tonight, so thank you for that, Ben. Good evening. My name is Brian Hunt. As Ben said, I'm the chair of your PPC, COO of Southern Champion Trey, and I consider myself a friend of our honoree, Steve Voorhees. So thank you for joining us tonight. What a lovely dinner. Did you enjoy the dinner? Thank you to the hotel staff. I was just shocked 200 people showed up and we all ordered the exact same meal. A little shock to me, but it was very good. It's my privilege to talk to you tonight about one of the most festive occasions in PPC's history. It is the celebration of the Robert T. Gair Award. It's our industry's highest honor. But before we talk about the honor itself, I thought it might be good to talk a little bit about the man in which the honor and award was created. It was 1864, a gentleman named Robert T. Gair. He began work as a paper merchant, a printer, manufacturer of paper and packaging goods, and he was in Brooklyn, New York. See, early on, he started making some folding boxes by scoring the box. He'd score them individually as blanks, and he'd take a guillotine cutter, and he would cut 10 or 20 at a time. But he made a mistake one day, and he noticed as he was examining this seed package that had actually scored and cut by the printing plate, by the types on the printing plate. And when he noticed that, he realized that he had found something that was very special. You could score and cut something and create a folding carton with it on machinery. And so in doing that, he created our industry. an incredible folding carton industry, something that we get to enjoy every day. It was the foundation for our industry. And I think about that. He made a mistake and created a whole entire industry. I think of my 300 or 400 mistakes and how many industries I could have created. It's quite special what he did and what he did for our industry. So in 1988, it's about the time I was born, the Robert T. Gair Award was created. Some of you are a little slow on that. The award was created in '88, and it's only been given 19 times out of the 30 years. And just the fact that it's a very limited number of awards been given, it just magnifies the significance of the award. So tonight, it's our pleasure, our great pleasure, to bestow this award, the highest honor we give in our industry for the 20th time. And you're going to hear this evening about this award. Steve Voorhees, our honoree, has done much to deserve this award. On a personal note, I'll tell you a little bit about my first meeting with Steve many years ago. My initial conversation with Steve, it ran the gamut. We talked about business a lot. We talked about family. We talked about friends. And it was just, it struck me, though, in the conversation that as it was closing, he wanted to go back to my life. I want to know more about me and my family and what intrigued me in life. In fact, that's where we got into this conversation about his habit, I think, of scoring baseball games on paper. And I think I even joked with him and said, gosh, they have computers for that, Steve, and you can actually look it up in the newspaper. And he was sharing with me just how much pleasure he gets out of that. And I think he even kind of gave me a little jab about playing a game that you can't win because it's measured against a standard called par. And so we had you can never win it, right? So it was a great conversation. We ended the day, and since then, Steve and I have had several intermittent greetings, intermittent discussions. But I want to tell you about something that struck me about the man, and this goes back to an email in August of 2020. Now, how many of you remember what was going on in August of 2020? Like a pandemic, maybe? The height of the pandemic. The world as we knew it was turned upside down. Our businesses were turned upside down. And 8:40 p.m. one evening, I got an email from Steve congratulating SET on our growth, discussing the challenges of business that the COVID has created, and he acknowledged the fact that just some of the growth we were doing is a vote of confidence. And you say, wow, it was a great email. Why did that touch you? Well, it's how he closed it. He closed the email with greetings to my family, wishing for safety and health for my family, and just personal best wishes. 8:40 in the evening. Here's a CEO of a $15 billion company sending an email at 8:40 in the evening and giving personal touches on that. That just showed me that there is a lot behind the man, the business leader that we all know, and I found it to be very touching. But if it wasn't just for my personal support, if that wasn't obvious, you're going to hear tonight about some contributions that he has done in our industry, his company, the community, and you're going to hear a fair amount in these videos from some of his closest peers and friends in the industry. He is one of the most respected people. I don't know how many of you have seen the, I'll call it the tweets, the LinkedIns, the times he's visiting the factories, talking to the hourly employees about business and life. And every time I see one of those, it touches me that there is something very special about Steve, and that is why we want to honor this man tonight. So if you would, you've got glasses in front of you, if you would lift your glasses, we want to toast to Robert T. Gair for his role in the livelihood of the fine products we get to make, the timeliness of his imagination with renewable and sustainable materials, the many lives that Robert touched, as well as the lives that Steve Voorhees has touched. So cheers. Keep your glasses handy because we have a few more toasts. I would like to invite Killian Rensler, CEO of President of Koenig & Bauer, up to the stage. Killian, if you would, join us.
Hi, thank you, Brian, for the introduction, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is my pleasure today to give, on behalf of Koenig & Bauer staff, a toast to honor a very special person, Steve Voorhees. I'm really very excited about it. Unlike Ben or Brian, I never had the opportunity to meet you in person throughout my career. However, it feels like I know you, Steve. Why is it? One picture comes immediately to my mind. You standing on the shop floor, full safety gear, hat, orange vest, glasses, talking into the camera in a series of videos posted on social media. What I heard in every video, and there are very many of them, was different to what we witnessed all too often. CEOs talking about their individual success, achievements, and themselves. These videos were different. You were talking about the team, which led the company to succeed by relentlessly meeting customer requirements. You gave your restaurant team a voice by putting them in the center of the stage and letting them speak about what they know best. A quote from you, Steve: "I continue to be incredibly proud of restaurant team as we work together." And these were not only words. One could see how tremendously proud you were about your team performing on the highest level, and also could feel the pride that was carried by every individual who spoke for the company. And not were you only proud about your staff, but the safety and well-being of every team member was of utmost importance. You made it a top priority for yourself and the entire company. You picked up on our challenges to protect the environment for the next generations by emphasizing the importance of sustainability in manufacturing and packaging itself. Chapeau, Steve Voorhees. What a masterpiece of motivation for the team to perform on the highest level. What a masterpiece of honoring the team and retaining talent, a challenge we face today. You were ahead of the time. What a masterpiece to advertise the values of WestRock to your customers and the entire industry. I think a masterpiece of a truly outstanding leader. A leader who made WestRock successful in an unprecedented way to become the top performer in the industry. So to conclude, I congratulate you for this Lifetime Achievement Award. There could have not been a better choice. I also congratulate your family who is here today. Your performance is their performance, since I'm sure that they strongly supported you on your way to success. So I would like to end with a special toast and wishes for the future, for your future, by quoting you one more time. Stay safe, stay well, and stay strong. Please raise your glasses. A special cheers to Steve. Cheers.
Thank you, Killian. And if we could have Brian Kintop, Vice President of Ops, our other meeting sponsor, who would like to come up, make some comments and a toast as well.
Good evening. When I was asked about 6-8 weeks ago to do this, there was no way I was going to turn it down. Mr. Voorhees and I met several times over the last several years, and quite honestly, each time he brings knowledge in every conversation that we've ever had together. But I want to just share with you, just briefly, something that I'll never forget. The very first time I took Mr. Voorhees to Europe, to Switzerland, we had a very late dinner, and as you know, those of you that have traveled overseas, you get jet lagged, you're tired, you don't sleep well. And so the next morning I wake up, grab a cup of coffee, and who's sitting in there having breakfast but Mr. Voorhees. So a little intimidating, but I go and I sit with him, and I will tell you that with pure sincerity, this gentleman, and with great class, didn't want to talk business, but he wanted to talk about family. And it stuck with me, because again, here's a gentleman who is in charge of a $15 billion company. He's got small fires, large fires being put out all over the world, and he wants to talk about my family, and we talked about his family. So with all of you in your continued success and health, I want to raise a glass to not only Mr. Voorhees, but to his family. Thank you for everything. Cheers. Cheers.
Thank you, Brian. Our third meeting sponsor and a group that's very special to Steve is the group from West Rock. And so it's my pleasure to introduce Rich Dreschfield, Senior Vice President of West Rock North American Paperboard Sales, who plans on introducing teammates and a few comments to make. Rich?
Find this little piece of paper. Good evening, everybody. And I really don't plan to introduce my teammates. Tonight is really about Steve and Steve's family. You know, we've got a fantastic team here, and I'll really leave it to the after hours and the evening time for our group to meet with everybody else here. Really want to focus on Steve and his family tonight. So with that, I'm going to just jump into that. But I do thank all the West Rock folks that are here tonight. And there's really a lot of other folks that couldn't make it this evening. The senior leadership team has a board meeting, certainly meetings that Steve attended for many, many years, and I'm sure fondly remembers. That group in particular send their regrets and best wishes tonight. So thanks for the introduction. I guess for those that don't know me yet, my name is Rich Dreschfield. I'm the Senior Vice President of Paperboard Sales at West Rock, and it really is a pleasure and an honor to be here with all of the PPC friends and family and the industry in total to honor Steve. Really a great pleasure and honor. You know, Steve's presence is still ever present at West Rock. His name comes up weekly, if not daily, and I assure you, Steve, only in the finest veins. So, you know, a lot of people have talked about Steve's interest in family and friends, and that's crystal clear to all of the West Rock team. You know, I will say a few words from the group behind Steve, the team that's worked with him. He always took the time to meet with the field sales team, get to know them personally, about their family, about their friends, about the business, what was going on, and really a true and keen interest in their well-being. So, you know, it is rare today that a CEO in a company the scale and size of West Rock takes the time to do that. It makes real and genuine connections with the team. So, you know, a lot of folks have talked about Steve's legacy. You know, the key and my takeaway in the short time that I've worked for and with Steve, although I've known him for a lot longer, it's all about connections, and whether that's family or friends, that's what I think holds the team together, holds the company together, and is meaningful from Steve's standpoint. You know, whether it's connecting with people inside our team, all of our customers globally, that was critical to Steve. It was connecting people to products. That's another thing you'll hear Steve say from time to time. One of the legacies that he brought to West Rock, and it will live for many, many years. And it was also about connecting two great companies, Rock 10 and MWV, into one. The work that goes on today and bringing the companies together is really a continuation of the work that Steve started. So we have to thank him for that. You know, I did talk to a number of colleagues and got some comments, and most of them said what we really miss is Steve popping into our offices and our facilities. He truly remembered people by their names, always was generous with his thank yous, and always had a way of making people truly understand how much their contributions mattered. So I have to say thanks to you, Steve, for all that you've done for the company. And I will say on behalf of the more than 50,000 West Rock employees, teammates worldwide, and all the industry friends and partners that we are with tonight, and those that couldn't make it throughout your storied career, we want to offer you and thank you for all that you've done, and provide a warmest congratulations for achieving this very well-deserved recognition. I'd like to ask everybody in the room to raise your glass to celebrate and honor Steve Voorhees, a dynamic industry leader, a mentor and role model to so many, and someone that most of us in this room can call peer and or truly a friend. So cheers to you, Steve, and thank you.
Cheers. Thank you, Killian, Brian, Rich, for your kind comments. To honor Steve tonight, we've shared some personal stories about our engagements with Steve, our meetings, and the things that we've been impressed with. But we've got a video composed that's going to showcase Steve's lifetime achievements, some of his accomplishments, and who better to tell this than some of his closest peers and friends from the industry. And so we have a film we would like to share with everyone. So if we can roll the film, please. As we define excellence in our industry, it is truly chiseled into the Robert T. Gair Award. While Mr. Gair's ingenuity gave birth to our folding carton industry, he also established a legacy of significance. So the Gair Award is being bestowed tonight. It's given for a lifetime of achievement in 3 notable areas. First, you must make significant contributions to the paperboard industry. Secondly, you must be committed to the Paperboard Packaging Council. And last but not least, you must demonstrate a faithfulness to the nominee's company and community. Just the fact that this award is not given out annually only magnifies the importance and places more prominence on the esteemed nature of the award. Steve, tonight, we honor you.
Steve Voorhees' parents met in Atlanta, Georgia, and married in 1946. His dad was born in Fresno, California, and was a career Navy officer, commander of destroyers. He ended up living in Atlanta to lead the NROTC program at Georgia Tech. Steve's mother was born in Atlanta and graduated from the University of Georgia. She worked in banking. Steve was born in 1954 at Bethesda Naval Hospital, now known as Walter Reed. Steve and his older brother moved often with the family, as is common for Navy families. In 1963, his dad retired from the Navy and began a second career in Kalamazoo, Michigan, in specialty chemical sales, which included sales to paper companies. Steve grew up in Kalamazoo, Michigan, and demonstrated early signs of entrepreneurial drive, working paper routes, dishwashing, sausage making as a teamster, and an ice cream truck driver. Steve attended Phillips Academy in Andover, Massachusetts, where he earned awards in math and played intramural sports. Steve went on to attend Northwestern University, studying mathematics and economics, as well as earning a teaching certificate, whereupon he became a teaching assistant at Phillips Academy as well as a coach. This was followed by work as a consultant in the all-volunteer Army at the Department of Defense in Virginia. He then attended Darden Business School, where he was awarded recognition for his excellence in studies there. Steve married Celia in 2004. They each have 2 children who have gone on to marry and found their own families. So Steve and Celia now have 7 grandchildren altogether.
Steve and I actually worked together for 19 of the last 20 years. We met at Sonat, where we both worked, and for 6 years he was always involved in things that I was involved in. At the time we were in a joint venture with Enron, and he was the one responsible for determining whether the deals that we did with Enron were good or bad, a job he did to perfection because we made a lot of money, and picking the ones that made money and not the ones that lost. That impressed me very much, and so years later when I joined Rock 10, I wanted Steve to join us. I wasn't successful for the first year because he had the ability to win an RFP from Southern Company, and there is a 680 megawatt gas-fired electric generating plant located in Anniston, Alabama. That is a product of his first year after Sonat. And it was after that year that I was able to persuade Steve to join us at Rock 10. Steve joined us as CFO, a job he'd never had, and I believe that because of his experience in business development and his attitude of coming to work every day with a mindset of what can I do today to make money, he'd be a great asset. So for 5 years, Steve and I split up the cost reduction opportunities. I took the plants and the operations, and he took everything else. So essentially all of the administrative functions, a lot of which had to be centralized, a lot of changes in the way decisions were made, and a lot of structure had to be put in place at Rock 10, and that was Steve's job, another job that he did to perfection.
I'll never forget the first time I met Steve back in 2007 when he was the CFO for Rock 10 and I was president of Southern Container. He and Jim Rubright came to our corporate offices in Long Island, and they were courting the acquisition of Southern Container. And I remember in that first meeting, a genuine sense of was developing that was really quite unique, as we had been considering other potential companies to acquire us, but we really felt a genuine sincerity and an interest in trying to help our management team succeed long term. That string of acquisitions is really quite incredible. Ticking them off: in 2008, Southern Container; 2011, the acquisition of Smurfit Stone, which was a true industry game changer. 2014, we acquired the Simpson Tacoma Craft Virgin White Top Linerboard Mill out on the West Coast. 2015, we closed the joint venture Grupo Gandhi, giving us a true strategic foothold in Mexico with the best industry player in the business. 2015, we acquired the Dublin, Georgia recycled mill, which dramatically expanded our lightweight linerboard capabilities. Numerous other corrugated converting acquisition businesses that helped to integrate our containerboard business into a truly benchmark #2 in the world corrugated packaging capability. And then, of course, the ultimate merger in 2015 with Midwestvaco, which truly created a premier paper packaging company, agnostic to substrates, both folding cartons, corrugated packaging, high graphics capability that is really second to none.
I really got to know Steve quite well as we worked together closely during the creation of WestRock, which was the combination of Rock 10 and Midwestvaco, and throughout his subsequent service as our Chief Executive Officer for almost 6 years. Throughout all of this, I developed great respect and admiration for him as a man, in particular his character and his capacity as a leader. I'd like to emphasize what I would characterize as his tenacity. It's clearly been reflected in his tireless, almost relentless pursuit of goals and objectives that he and the board established, crisscrossing the country and the globe, visiting with operations and customers. Something that I have been very impressed by, and that is his strong loyalty and commitment to the success of his team and to men and women all across WestRock. I would cite his tremendous efforts during his final year as WestRock's chief executive, a year in which the company was challenged greatly by both COVID and a cyber attack. Rather than remain in Atlanta, Steve dedicated himself to making regular weekly visits to mills and plants to express appreciation and admiration to those teammates who were keeping the company moving forward in the face of significant business and personal challenge. Needless to say, the impact of this was substantial on those facilities visited, as well as the company as a whole.
Steve was a wonderful leader, incredibly bright, but even more important to me was that he was a wonderful person, extremely humble, an excellent listener, truly cares deeply about his people and the entire organization. And those attributes led Steve as CEO to make transformative change in our culture.
When I think about the analytical side of Steve, it was his keen eye for acquisitions and growth in our business that helped us grow to the company we are today. He made the right investments in our business. He thought about the mergers and acquisitions that would help us grow as a company, that would broaden our portfolio, put us in new geographies and end markets, and really helped us to grow significantly. The second thing, really reflecting on his connection to people, is how he basically shaped and reinforced the WestRock culture, grounded in the principles of integrity, respect, and accountability and excellence. And everywhere Steve traveled, as our company grew, he reinforced that with people and personally. You always knew where Steve stood on the importance of the WestRock culture.
What made Steve an exceptional leader is his agility, his versatility, but most importantly, his authenticity. He could juggle very complex strategic problems and then give that one perspective that nobody ever thought of. And the next thing you'd know, he would talk to one of those people at the shop floor and talk about things that are personal. So that versatility and authenticity for me was made it stand out for Steve as an exceptional leader.
Over the time that Steve visited our newly built plant in Brazil, in Porto Feliz, and we had business reviews, we had conversations about the plant and the business, but Steve wanted so much to reserve time for a town hall meeting with the people. He wanted so much to engage with the people. And over his delivery in a town hall meeting with about 100 people at the plant, he inserted so many comments about our culture, about our values, and he also launched his view about diversity and belonging back then.
Steve is big into junior achievement. WestRock was one of the first corporations to support the junior achievement program here, which is really where you get 6th, 7th graders and you teach them life skills about what it's like to work and how to open a bank account and how do you create entrepreneurship.
I've known Steve probably for about 15 years now. Originally it was through Junior Achievement in Georgia, and he had gotten involved as a volunteer with that organization. He and I met over breakfast one morning, and immediately I knew he'd be somebody that we'd want to have on our board. And so ever since then, was on the board for Junior Achievement and then now 3DE National. It always comes to mind about Steve in terms of his leadership is just this humility that is then overlaying just incredible brilliance, and his insight, his perspective that he has on things is usually quite unique and always spot on.
We've known each other for a long time. We've served a lot of boards together, we've industry activities, we've been on panels together, so we've known each other. And then he lives in Atlanta, and so we overlap here. Steve's very philanthropic. He and his wife both are, and my wife and I overlap in them, the arts center or the education groups.
As a leading producer of paperboard, Steve also understood the importance of the independent folding carton network and was a frequent speaker at industry events and was a great ally of the independent folding carton community.
Here are a few of his accomplishments. He grew a company from $1.5 billion in sales to $18 billion. He led 4 major acquisitions at Rock 10 and WestRock that has led WestRock to be the 2nd largest packaging company in the U.S. He nurtured a culture that yielded Fortune magazine recognizing WestRock for 5 consecutive years as being one of the world's most admired companies. He was also awarded 2018 RISI's North American CEO of the Year. In 2020, Taffy Pima recognized him as Executive of the Year, and he was the 29th Annual Executive Papermaker of the Year recognized by Paper Age. Furthermore, he established a legacy that will continue long into the future when he established the WestRock Foundation. This alone has impacted the Atlanta community by investing into junior achievement and the Boys and Girls Club. And similarly, he led an initiative to create the WestRock Employee Relief Fund, which has aided WestRock employees that have had hardships with natural disasters. So like Mr. Gair, a life of significance, Steve, you have led. You've impacted over 60,000 employees, over 6 million people in the greater Atlanta area, and the tens of millions connected to our industry.
I was reading the Atlanta Business Chronicle one time, and this is after I'd known Steve for probably about 5 or 6 years, and just flipping through the pages and see that there's a whole profile on him because he's playing adult baseball as a over 50-year-old league. And I'm like, gosh, that's just something that he's got all these unique elements of his personality that sometimes you aren't even aware of.
Hi, I'm David Sewell, CEO for WestRock, and it is truly an honor for me to be able to participate in the recognition of Steve Voorhees. You know, Steve's leadership has helped build WestRock into the incredible company it is today. He has a passion for employees, he has a passion for customers, and a true love of this industry. On a personal level, I've really enjoyed getting to know Steve as I have made the transition to try to backfill him, which has been no easy task. Incredibly difficult shoes to fill. So Steve, I want to thank you for everything you've done for me, for the company, for our customers, and the industry. Everyone here at WestRock is so proud of you for this wonderful achievement, and we wish you the best of luck in retirement.
So, my friends, it is my great honor to announce and bring to the platform our 2021 Robert T. Gair honoree, Stephen C. Voorhees. And while you'll get to hear from Steve in a minute, come on up, Steve. We have a few presentations for you, Steve. So if you will come in the middle, and Brian will go first.
See, I think the video hints about your love of baseball, and I know you and I had some personal conversations, and man, how fitting for the Braves to be in the World Series right now. And so it's just, I heard a little clap there. How about a great clap? Yeah. And we know that you and your son visited the Field of Dreams. I think it was referenced in the video. And so we thought it'd be fitting to give you a memento of this occasion. And what better memento than something with baseball? So we have a Louisville Slugger here, and it's engraved for Steve Voorhees, Packaging Slugger, Robert T. Gair Award. And so as a leader, we know you always had confidence at the plate. You were waiting for that hanging curveball. You were willing to knock it out of the park. You were ready to swing early in the account. And so we felt this would be very fitting to give this to you. We'd love for you to show us the stance and the swing that you would have with this.
I'm not.
So, but Brian, let's have a shot.
This is a safety thing. Thanks. That's great.
Yeah. Let's see. I trust him. So I do want to call to your attention as well the program, and inside the front cover of the program are the 19 previous recipients. And it's interesting to note, first of all, the first award was given to Robert C. Neff, and our dear friend and past chair Bob Neff is not here tonight because his mother passed away, but his grandfather was the inaugural Gair Award winner. But on this list, and those of us who will remember, there is a Rock 10 connection with Worley Brown, with Gene Fry, with Brad Curry, with Ed Woods, and now Mr. Voorhees. So it is my great pleasure. Also inside here, you will see a sketch, and at the family table, you'll see, if somebody can wave Steve Heads. And if you don't have one, I'm sure you'll have an opportunity to do it. But it's my pleasure. As many of you know, my wife Jenny is not here tonight. Her first meeting she has missed in 20 years. However, she likes to create sketches of the honorees. And we are pleased, Steve, on behalf of Jenny and me, to present you with this sketch of you, which I hope your family will.
That's great.
Come on, Brian, let's have a photo.
Yeah.
Great, and one more thing, I'll hold this for you, and you may have it shortly, and Brian has
and we have the award that we would like to give, and it's on behalf of myself, the executive committee. I know if the executive committee that's in, if you could raise your hand, because I know we spent a lot of time talking about this. We have the executive committee members. We'd like to thank you for your engagement and involvement in this award, the board of directors, staff, PPC staff, and of course your PPC. So thank you all for supporting this award. I'm deeply honored to bestow the Stephen C. Voorhees Award, the Robert T. Gair Award. Need a glass of hemlock here. I'm going to take care of that. The Robert T. Gair Award to Stephen Voorhees for your contributions to the paperboard industry, to the community, and to this lovely business we get to enjoy on the folding carton side. Thank you, Steve.
Thanks, Brian. Yes, again. Thanks. It's fantastic.
And now, my friends, we will hear from our honoree, Mr. Voorhees.
Okay. I want to thank Omega for the video. And Stephen's on camera, and I spent at least 5 years working with Stephen. I'd be on stage, and he'd tell me I couldn't move out of a certain range. And I asked him tonight, I'm going to be able to violate that. He said I could walk wherever I wanted to. So I'm going to do a little walking. So Anyway, Brian, Ben, everybody, this was fantastic. And many of you, I never met Whirly Brown, but Whirly Brown's just an amazing leader who helped form Rockton. I do know Brad Curry, and he's an amazing person. And I've had some conversations with Gene Fry, never met Ed Woods, but they built the foundation of our company. I'm just forever indebted to them, who contributed mightily to the development of WestRock. And then just the WestRock team got great turnout here, and I've had some great events, particularly over the past few years. But John Giff's going to talk to you about cybersecurity. I spent a few days with John in January. I'll never forget, and it was a great experience. It was a learning experience. But in COVID, I did go to plants. But I'll tell you, one of the highlights for me with COVID is you're thinking about trying to sell business. And many of you work in sales, and it's just you turn the world upside down when you're trying to sell folding cartons in COVID. And we got this business with White Claw, and one of the highlights of getting the business was a video that we had to where we talked about it. And so I purchased a couple White Claws here, and I'm going to keep one up next to my Gair Award. And then, Brad, designer, I wanted to get you, okay, I wanted to keep the black cherry. I'm giving you the raspberry. Okay, so there you go, and thanks so much for getting that business. Okay. And probably as long as I'm down here, I need to thank my love of my life, Miss Celia Voorhees. So thank you. Okay. And my family's been wonderful to come out. They all have lives. They all have jobs. I just appreciate them taking the time to be with me this evening. So anyway, thank you so much for being here. And then as I thought about what I was going to talk about, I started reflecting on the industry. And I think Brian captured it. We're just an incredible industry. One of the things about our industry is there's no single person that can do it all. So you have, nothing happens without customers, so the sales function, and nothing happens unless you can make the carton right the first time. The margins in our business are not enough to be able to do it over. So if you don't do it right the first time, you gotta do it over. And so you need great design, great equipment, great people operating the equipment. And so that teamwork is something which I think just characterizes our industry. And I was talking to my daughter Dorothy the other day, and I don't know how many, I heard the expression, teamwork makes the dream work. And that is so true for our business. And then when I think about it, and so we're all part of a team in our industry, and we rely on each other. And then I thought about, well, what makes a teamwork really well? Because you need people committed, you need people who know what they're doing to be able to execute. And then you need the support of people. So I started thinking about themes, and so I'm thinking about three things. You need to have a successful business to be successful as an individual, as a company, and as successful as an industry. You need to be committed, you need to have knowledge, and you need to have support. And I'm talking about deep commitment. Okay, so I'm not talking about a New Year's resolution type commitment to say, oh, I think I'm going to exercise a little bit, or I'm going to do this, because those evaporate really rapidly. I'm talking about the deep commitment that you have when you care about something so much, you're deciding to do that instead of doing something else you might rather be doing because you're committed to making either your family work, your company work, or something. I think we all have that, and we know that when we have it. And then I think the same thing about knowledge. Okay, and so you think about the knowledge, and I don't know, I have time to watch Jeopardy now. I'm not sure if you have, and so I watched Matt Amodio, so I'm not talking about knowledge that helps you, the trivia knowledge that helps you win on Jeopardy. I'm talking about the knowledge it takes to operate a press efficiently and effectively. And that's not something you can just walk into and just start operating on day one. And our business is just composed of so many positions, so many jobs, to where people need to have that knowledge. And then the third thing you talk about is support. And again, I'm not talking about the support that you get when you like somebody's post on social media. I'm talking about the support that you have in order to either give feedback that you don't necessarily want to give, but you need to give. The support to be there when maybe other people maybe aren't providing that support. And so I'm back to commitment, knowledge, and support. And so I started thinking about what's a good example of somebody in our industry has affected all of us with commitment, knowledge, and support. And that person's actually really easy for me to identify because it's Robert T. Gair. And Brian talked about how inadvertently kind of created the industry, but I did a little research into Robert Gair. I'd like to share some of that for you. So he was born on July 31st, 1839 in Scotland. And he immigrated to the US when he was 14. So I had 14 to 39, and you're in the mid 1850s. And most of you know the Civil War occurred in the early 1860s, and he served in the Civil War. And so he started as a sergeant, went to second lieutenant, went to first lieutenant, and then ultimately led a regiment. And at the end of the Civil War, he got an award from his regiment that he was in 19 engagements as a leader of men in the Civil War. Okay, so take 1865, compare it to 1839. So this is before he was 25 years old. And I don't know how many of you served in the military, and I think the military is a fantastic career alternative for people because they will take young men and train them into leaders. And Robert Gair was a leader in the Civil War and had led men in battle before he was 25. And so then he went into the business of manufacturing paper bags with square bottoms. When I got here today, I happened to get a paper bag with a square bottom, which is what he started. And Brian did a great job of describing how he inadvertently figured out how to make a folding carton. And he took that and he ran with it. So he got a patent, he built a business, and he moved the business from Manhattan to Brooklyn. And by the time, in 1921, he operated an area in Brooklyn called Gairville. 9 plants, 3,000 employees. Okay, and I think this is amusing. You may or may not think it's amusing. The area is called Dumbo. Okay, and I had a friend that told me what it stood for, which is down under the Manhattan Bridge overpass. In fact, if you go on, it's between the Manhattan Bridge and the Brooklyn Bridge, and it's called Dumbo today. It was called Gairville earlier. So he built a company that employed so many people, and then the company was sold in the 1950s, and if I remember correctly, they operated in 48 cities and towns in the US and Canada. So he built a great company from taking this paper bag company, adding some knowledge, something special. Okay, and along the way, he was married to Emma, a marriage of 59 years, had 2 sons, 4 daughters. I'd say that's a successful life. Okay, and I go through that because I'm going to come back to commitment, knowledge, and support. And he wrote when he was 79, he wrote a book or a booklet for his employees. And this is a quote from the book. So, to our young men, I want to say their life success depends on concentration. Do the one thing before you with your whole heart and soul. So think about that in terms of commitment. That's a pretty good, relevant quote for commitment. I'll read it again, which is, to our young men, I want to say that their life success depends on concentration. Do the one thing before you with your whole heart and soul. Okay, and so Gair, that's commitment. And then if you turn to knowledge, our business is really complex, and he helped create the business, because you can have the idea about how to make a folding carton, but think about from a blank piece of paper designing a piece of equipment that makes a folding carton at scale. And he did it to the point where he put all these plants employed so many people. And so he took that knowledge and got the patent, got the equipment, got the people employed to be able to make cartons. And with all of that, I read that that was not his greatest achievement. So think about what his greatest achievement is. And for Jeremy, it is what he brought to marketing. Jeremy leads a significant portion of our marketing at WestRock. And so he helped the folding carton become the silent salesman. I think that's a great description of folding carton for brands, and including the national rollout of Unita biscuits. So has anybody heard of Unita biscuits? Okay, so I have I don't have the biscuit because they stopped making them in 2008, and I think that might not be good to bring. I did find this tin, and Unita, I think it's a cute spelling because it's U-N-E-E-D-A biscuit. So you can say, you need a biscuit. Okay, and so he worked with Unita Biscuits, and the owner is National Biscuit Company, which is Nabisco, and Gair made the first 2 million Unita biscuit cartons for the National Biscuit Company. 2 million cartons is a lot, and you think back to 1900 or late 1800s. That's an amazing accomplishment. And in fact, the folding carton, they effectively took crackers out of the Cracker Barrel and put them into cartons. And I think the carton just helped facilitate the development of our consumer society. And so you can have the great commitment, you can have the great knowledge. If you don't have the support of a bunch of different people, you're not successful. And it's obvious to me that Robert Gair had an unbelievable amount of support that he provided and was provided back to him by his employees, his family. So I can't think of a better example of a leader in our business than Robert Gair, because of the way he demonstrated commitment, knowledge, and support to all of us as individuals, our company, and he helped develop our industry. And so I turned from that, and then I think of the many people who have supported me over time, saw a minority of them on the video. And I have so many people that have supported me, and I will say have saved my rear end from getting in trouble that without their tapping me on the shoulder saying, you're going to get in trouble if you do this. Or when I already knew I was in trouble, and they helped bail me out. And so the support of people I've had over my lifetime has been incredible. And I can't think of any other group of people than the WestRock people who show up every day at our manufacturing locations. They show up design, market, sales. I mean, it takes a village, it takes a team to be able to do that. And so I just would not be standing here today without the commitment, knowledge, and support of the people I've been able to work around for so many years. And I just hope I've returned a portion, or ideally more than I've been given, because I've been given just so much. And then I hope that you are able to take the time and think of the people who have provided you support over the years, through their commitment and knowledge to help you be a better person. And these people, in all likelihood, may include your parents, may include your teachers, may include your teammates. About a little bit over 15 years ago, I went to Western Michigan and gave a talk. And Rock 10 at the time had hired a bunch of people, so I took quotes up from the impact that the Western Michigan program had on these individuals. And I put them up on a PowerPoint, and then I had a woman who was, I think, in her 80s, and her husband was back in a wheelchair. And she came up to me crying at the end of the presentation because she said it was the first time her husband had gotten the feedback from his students that he cared about so much. So I'll just tell you, if you have somebody who's made an impact on you, particularly Teachers, tend to graduate and then move on. Take the time to tell them what an impact they've had on your life. And I think you get that to me, makes teamwork, making the dream work, helping, because we're all here and we don't really exist. We really can't be successful without the support of others. And so with that, one of the things I want to talk about is I want to see, I'd like to be able to talk about what's enabled our industry to get where we are today. And I see it with the members of the Paperboard Packaging Council. Okay, I'm going to mention two, okay? And the first is Malnov. I think, Eric, I haven't seen you tonight, but Paul Malnov passed in September at the age of 97. I was honored to know him, and he built a hell of a company. And just all my condolences, I'm sure everybody in the room, condolences to you and your family on your loss. And best wishes to you and Malnov for the future. I live in Jacksonville. I see you're investing in your Jacksonville plant, and just like that's going to make Malnov continue to be a great company in the future. So I just want to cite Malnov. The other is Southern Champion Tray and Brian, to where you've built just an amazing company on, I think you have a very, admirable mission, values, and vision. And I think of Christian values, I just admire so much the way you bring that to the business. And you're investing in the business with, I guess it was $84 million in expansion. You're going to employ more people, make more cartons. And so just those are the members of the PPC. And there's no better example that can help all of us to succeed in the business than the Paperboard Packaging Council. And you just think about that. So if you want to succeed individually, PPC is there to help you succeed individually. As a company, PPC helps you succeed to develop your company. And I think PPC is a tremendous asset to our company. And I think I can't think of a better example than the agenda for tomorrow, which starts with cyber and ransomware. That I don't need to go to John's presentation because I already experienced that. But then you go to sustainability. You've got the Women's Leadership Council, which is, good for you to do that. Okay, and then you've got the awards tomorrow night, which, design's so important in our business. And if you look at the future programs, one I love is Folding Carton Boot Camp. Because so many times people come into the industry, and I don't know about you, but you tend to expect everybody to know what you know, and that can't happen. And so just having the resource to be able to learn about the folding carton business from the ground up, it's just incredible what you do. And so thank you, Ben Markins. Thank you, the entire PPC organization. And while I appreciate the Gair Award, it's a fantastic award, I appreciate even more your commitment to us as individuals, our companies, and our industry. Your sharing of knowledge and recognition of our successes that provides support that makes a difference to all of us. So Ben, I have an award for you. Okay? So this is, I brought this. So you come up here.
Well, you are the boss tonight.
Okay? So this is the You Need a Biscuit tin, but there's something in here. I need you to open up and see what it is. It's a little bit hard to open.
No,
okay?
that was okay.
Okay.
There's a little paper. In our family, we go, ooh, oh. I'm going. Is it fragile? Oh my goodness! Look, it's a reverse tuck. You Need a Biscuit box, about 1 by 1 by 3. Ladies and gentlemen,
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ben, so much.
Ladies
okay.
and gentlemen, our honoree, Steve Voorhees.
Okay.
Big prize.
Okay.